What's up, Tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for Ambitions Season 1, Episode 10. Now, at the end of this episode, they had previews for the next episode, so I guess we're not going to stop at 10, which I am fine with myself. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hope you like this video. So, we pick up this episode with the aftermath of Rondell not signing that contract. Now, Stephanie is in a really bad situation because remember, she has to deliver this contract for this project. And she has already seen what could happen if this doesn't get done. She knows that this is bigger than just Peter. She knows it's on a bigger scale and that these people are going to get violent. And that if they got to get rid of Rondell the old-fashioned way, that's how they're going to get rid of Rondell. And so, but at the end of the day, if Stephanie hadn't blown up Rondell's situation, she probably would have got Rondell to sign that contract. Now, I know she needed her to sign it that night, but had she even waited till after the dinner was over to get Rondell probably would have signed it. Rondell's not signing it now because she sort of got embarrassed and it was sort of thrown in her face what she did to the community. And so now she's going to stick in there and she ain't really trying to do this. Now, we see Rondell seeking out Titus's help because remember, excuse me, y'all, because we remember when they were at breakfast a couple of days ago, Titus's wife kind of threw him out there and was like, "Hey, Titus did a lot of, he was a community organizer. He can help out, get her to help, get him to help, blah blah blah." So, um, she's talking to Titus, and Titus is like, "Look, I really would like to help, but I just don't have the time. Like, I'm in the middle of this class action suit. My boss really wouldn't be happy if I was splitting up my time and my attention. I really need to kind of not, be able to do some other things." And, Rondell understood, but she was just like, "Look, you were my last hope. I really thought you could help me, but, I get it." So then we see, remember that, what was it? The blue, what was it? Blue Beta Nu. That's it. Beta Nu. Remember that Beta Nu project with Stephanie's sorority sister, the one that she's blackmailing to get her husband to sign on in Atlanta. Well, they're meeting with the mayor. Now, she done went on and she didn't call Stephanie's bluff and she done went and told her husband everything. She didn't let her husband know everything and what she did, what she didn't do, and how she did it. And so now there's um blackmail, and her husband is pissed off that Stephanie would even try to blackmail her. So they decided that they're gonna go to Charlotte. That they're gonna take the company to Charlotte. And of course, the mayor is pissed off, but he didn't know about the whole blackmail situation. So he was like, "Stephanie did what? What? Stephanie did who? What? How'd this go down? And they were, of course, they were. She was the sorority sister was just as happy as she could be because now, she's like, not only, is my husband not leaving me, which of course I'm sure that's the biggest thing. Although you killed somebody died. I don't. Anyway, I'm not gonna go down that road. But so but they decided they're not gonna stay with the mayor. Now, Amara, back at work, her boss comes up in there and her boss was off at a conference or something. And she was like, "Hey, how you doing and everything?" And she was like, "Well, I'm not happy." She said, "How long you been sleeping with Damien?" And she was like, "I did." She said, "Me and Damien's situation was over long before I came here from the Birmingham office and it has not started back up." Her boss don't really believe her because her boss is like, "Then why the hell did your husband beat him up?" And she was like, "He didn't beat him up. Like, he didn't do it. Damon is lying." And she was like, "Look, Damon is threatening to go to HR. Like, it's a whole lot with this." And, I just don't know what's going on here. Basically putting her on notice that, look, you want shaky ground your damn self around here because this situation right here is a big old problem. Big old problem. Now, Stephanie is dealing with issues not just from trying to get Rondell to sign on to this project, but because it's taking so long to solidify everything, now her investors are starting to pull out. They're building this huge complex. So, people who were going to put office space and businesses and other, or other things in this complex are now saying, "Look, we're not feeling this. It's taking too long. You can't get Rondell. We don't like the bad publicity that she's kicking up with this whole gentrification piece and her signatures. And you know what? We're just going to have to back out of it." And Stephanie does a good job of convincing them to just stick with her. And of course, she does it in her own little Stephanie way. She's a little nasty about it, and she gets really pissed off at the one lady who's sort of the ringmaster, saying, look, um, basically, I don't know if we're gonna stick with this, and I'm really not scared of you. And she sort of threw it out there that, I'm not an enemy you want to have, and y'all need to just chill out for a couple of days. We're gonna get this deal done. So she's pissed off, but here come the mayor. The mayor pissed off because he found out about this whole blackmail situation and lets her know not only did you didn't let me in on this whole blackmailer scheme, but it's backfired because they're not going to do the deal. They're taking it to Charlotte. And of course, Stephanie is like, are you serious? Like, who wants to, she's like, who wants to live in Charlotte? Like, really? And the mayor, he's pissed off about it. So Stephanie's trying to figure out how to make this whole thing work. Now, in the meantime and in between time, Bella then took her happy ass up to Stephanie's office just as the mayor's coming out of her office. And he's like, what are you doing here? And, she was like, well, I came to see Stephanie about a legal matter, whatever. So she takes Stephanie the contract that she's got with the Valentina lady. And Stephanie is automatically on alert because Stephanie is like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up. Valentina is like a world-renowned fashion house. What the hell is she doing signing a contract with you? And Bella ain't even catch it. Bella was like, well, I mean, it's only a temporary, contract, but on the front end of the contract, they had me doing X, Y, and Z, but now they're asking me to make all these extra pieces and do all this extra work. And I just want to make sure that I'm covered. Like, are these going to be my designs? What happens if they decide not to pick up my contract? What happens to the work? So Stephanie tries to play it off like, well, if I have time, I'll look at it, but at the very least, I'll have a paralegal check it out. But Stephanie is on high alert as to how in the world did Bella get a hold of this type of a deal. And as soon as Bella leaves, Stephanie starts reading over that contract. So I was like, I'm sure she's gonna see her husband's footprints all over this one, but I don't know. I feel like Stephanie know that she's sleeping with her husband. I feel like Stephanie is just waiting until it's most advantageous for her to expose it because I don't think she cares who he's sleeping with as long as it don't embarrass him. For real, for real. Now I don't think she know about that baby or knows that the baby is his, but neither here nor there. So then the sorority sister goes to visit Amara, and she basically tells Amara, "Look, you need to stay alert with Stephanie. When Stephanie's around, you really need to stay alert because it ain't clean over there, and she got a whole lot of stuff with her." And Amara's like, well, tell me about it. But she didn't get into the details. Of course, she's not going to tell her everything that went down with her and Stephanie because, again, there's a dead body involved. And there's no statute of limitations on murder. So the man done cornered Bella in the elevator, once again, basically telling her, what you want with my wife, stay away from my wife. You're gonna regret it if you get my wife. I mean, just a bunch. And I'm like, if you would just ignore her, she would go away. Hold on, y'all. So we see Amara and Titus, and they're kind of just talking about the whole situation with Andale. They're going over there and everything with Rondale, excuse me, not Andale. They're going over there a little bit, and you see Titus is sort of kind of thinking about how things went down with him and Rondale, and you can tell he kind of wish he could help her out. We see Bella and her model with showing the son some more pieces. I'm not feeling this. At first I thought it was legit, but the more and more I see that she's talking to the son, and not talking to the actual one, the woman in charge, and it's something that's going on. I don't know what he's doing, but he's setting her up. I don't know what he's setting her up for. I don't know if he's in cahoots with the mayor and it's a bigger scheme. Like, I really don't know, but it's something going on with that. And her model kind of get into it. Her model's giving her the whole, you got it going on, everything's come so easy to you. And Bella have to get her straight and be like, boo, I'm a single mother that is out here struggling and hustling just like everybody else. Like, I know, that you sort of like, you see me doing certain things, but please don't get it twisted. And again, I think it's more to that conversation too, but we'll see. Stephanie goes down to Thelma's place to get Rondale to sign this contract. And Rondale is like, I'm not signing. And Stephanie was like, you were on board. What happened? She was like, don't worry about it. We changed our mind. Senior changed his mind. And Stephanie is giving her all the reasons why they should sign and, what's going on. You're going to lose it anyway. Eminent domain, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But remember, Stephanie really knows what's good on the other side. Like, if she doesn't sign, Stephanie knows there's some shit about to go down. So just as Rondale tells Stephanie, like, look, I have a lawyer. So we're going to get this thing worked out. And just as Stephanie's talking about something, well, who is your lawyer? Who comes walking in the door is Titus. And of course, Stephanie can't stand that, honey. And Titus actually is successful in getting an injunction filed to give Rondell an extra week to replace all those signatures that were deemed invalid. And Stephanie can't stand that, honey. Stephanie rolls up on Titus at work, and of course, she throws it all at him. And then she finally says, well, how does your boss feel about, you doing this extra work or whatever, pro bono work? And she was like, oh, you didn't tell him, huh? So, anyway, Stephanie is being Stephanie. Bella and this guy, this son, they get the flirting or whatever. He tried to come on to Bella, and Bella's like, nah, we're going to keep this strictly personal. I mean, keep this strictly professional. I ain't trying to go down that road. He was like, oh, it's cool. I can understand. But I'm like, I just feel like something ain't right. I don't know what it is, but something with that situation, it just is not right, y'all. I ain't figured it out yet. But anyway, so let me see Rondell visit the mayor. And the mayor and again, it's a good moment with them. They really looking like brother and sister. But what we find out is he's telling her, look, this really, like, at the end of the day, I know this isn't the best option, but understand that Atlanta is changing. And sooner or later, they're going to figure out a way, to get that land. And I would just want to see y'all get something out of it rather than it be taken from y'all. And he was real honest with them about it. With her about it. But they had a good conversation. And she was like, look, we're going to agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, you my brother, and ain't nothing going to ever change that. So I was like, okay, cool. Stephanie, on the other hand, she's starting to get the emails that all of these investors are backing out of the deal. They're backing out of the deal, and she gets a text message from the Peters organization telling her your time is up. It's out of your hands now. We're gonna make it happen. She immediately calls to get Rondell a bodyguard, which tells me that on some level she does give a damn about. She knows that Rondell about to be in a world of trouble. I still don't think she necessarily cares about Rondell, but she knows. I don't think she wants that blood on her hands, so to speak. And she said, "Look, she can't know that you're there, but you got to make sure that nothing comes her way. Make sure that you protected her from all dangers, seen and unseen." Then we see with the mayor, Stephanie and Evan have a meeting with the Beta New people, with husband and wife. And, he was like, look, what you summon, because of course they think they got the upper hand because they think they ain't worried about the blackmail. He was like, what you summoning me here for? Like, it is what it is. We're going to Charlotte, like, whatever. So Evans was like, well, yeah, but what about all those investors that's been buying up those shares and they talking about ousting you? I think his name was Lindell. He was like, what if he would have found out about this situation? Like, you might not care about it hitting the press because he threatened. He was like, if this hits the press, your wife will be disbarred and I'm gonna make sure you get impeached. Like it's like that. He was like, but what about you losing your company? Like, forget about, going to the press. All I gotta do is tell him about it, and then there you go. So of course he backs down, like, all right, look, what you want? What you want? He was like, oh, I just want you to bring the company here to Atlanta. That's it. And his wife now, she's pissed because of course she was like, don't you make a deal with him. He was like, you shut up, because this is all your fault anyway. Since you want to be out here running around with rock stars and stuff, this your fault. So you just going to be quiet because it is what it is. Checkmate. And he even tells him on the way out the door, nicely played. Honey, that done turned him and Stephanie on. They done got to having sex on the table. Anyway, Titus leaving work. Who's waiting for him but Mr. Damon? Titus was like, look, what you want? And before you even get to acting stupid, there are cameras everywhere, so don't even think that this is about to be a problem, a replay of what happened before. And he was like, look, I'm just here so that you're not running around town looking like a fool. Now, I thought he was getting ready to expose Stephanie, because remember how Stephanie threatened him last week with that gun, and he wasn't feeling that. So I thought he was getting ready to expose Stephanie. But that is not what he did. He went on and said, look, Amara told you that we only had sex at one time. I just don't want you out here looking stupid in these streets. So I sent you a little package. You go ahead and send it to your email. You go ahead, you read it at your leisure. Baby, Amara come home. Titus sitting in the dark. He done packed his suitcases. He done smashed up their pictures. And of course she was like, what's going on? Like, you scaring me. He said, you told me that you only slept with him one time. And she knew then the jig was up. She talking about something. No, I said I made one mistake. He was like, don't you play no word games with me. You knew what I thought. You knew the impression that gave me was that it only happened once. Don't play word games with me. Honey, honey. He said, I read your text messages, the ones that I could stomach. And he read one of the text messages talking about some I can't wait to see you, I miss you, whatever. But then he played a voicemail with her talking about how hard he makes her come, and how Titus is never home, and when he is home, he ain't paying her no attention, and how she's thinking about leaving him. Titus was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. He was like, I'm done, baby. And he leaves her laying in that floor crying. I said, oh, Amara, I was rooting for you, Amara. I was, but I knew you were lying. I knew that man wasn't that crazy over y'all sleeping together one time. Because that man is crazy. He is certifiable. But they've been sleeping together for months, honey. He said, how many times did you crawl out of his bed and into mine? That is a horrible feeling. But anyway, that's where it ended. So we will see what happens next week, y'all. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.